with someone that doesn't have a CNC, but someone like you in your life position, someone that has kids, someone that has a full-time day job, and they're looking to do exactly what you were doing. What's your recommendation to their first step?
In this episode of CNC Side Hustle Stories, we're talking to longtime community member, Zach. 3 years ago when I met Zach, he was using a 13-year-old Carve-Right CNC. Since then, he's bought a Onefinity, has landed a international drop shipping deal, has attended 3 or 4 craft shows, is active in the community, and has grown exponentially. He's built a hobby, a CNC hobby, around his full-time job that truly pays for itself. There is a common theme that goes throughout this video that Zach shares of what has attributed to his growth in such a short period of time. Let's get into this.
How did you get into CNC? What is your experience with CNC and how you got started?
I got into CNC probably, maybe it was 2010. The kids came up with a game that they thought was hilarious, a blonde board game. And it's basically a board that says turn over and on it. And on the other side, it says turn over. And so lots of blondes in the house. And so they think it's hilarious. And they made a little video of my son sitting in a chair, just flipping this board over and over and over. And I'm like, we could make that. And so we kind of came up with this blonde board games. I bought a Carve-Right.
That's right, the Carve-Right
back then, and tried to figure that out as we went. And I made 50, 60 prototypes of different lengths and sizes and thicknesses and keychains and stuff with it. And I tried to do a few other things, but it was challenging. It was challenging.
That machine was challenging?
The software was challenging.
Okay.
The machine was early, hobby CNC stuff.
Like 2010, I don't even know what other machines are on the market. And I'll put an example. We'll look up an example of the Carve-Right so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's like a lunchbox planer, but it's a carver inside, and it goes back and forth and up and down, and it moves the board back and forth through the machine in order to do the other axis. Slip, and the little wheel would get off. It was, and the software, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And I'm a computer guy.
And you're a computer guy.
Yeah. And so it just got, I don't know what happened, but eventually we moved, and it got put on a shelf when we moved, and I never touched it again.
How long was it on the shelf? Like from the time that you put it there to the time that you
12 years
got back into CNC? How long?
12 years, maybe 10 years, 12 years, something like that.
Okay.
And then up until the point where you found out that I had it. And browbeat me into going and digging it out and making it work.
Yeah.
And so I brought it out and disassembled it and cleaned it and fixed it and installed the software again, and we tried to figure out how this thing worked. And I made some stuff. I started making some stuff.
10 years later. Yeah, I would say it was about roughly, 10 years, 10, 11 years, somewhere in that. Because now, so talk about, before I get into it, because I want you to share it, not me. But so talk about your let's call it your reinterest in CNC and where your second start.
I'm a tool junkie, and I just started getting the itch, and I started looking, and I can't stop myself once I start looking. But we had let's see, 2020. So
probably 21.
2021, somewhere in there, that I was changing jobs, and I cashed out at 401k, and so I had some money that I was going to get horribly taxed on, and did. And then I'm like, maybe I could buy a CNC and see what happens. I could do other stuff. I do other woodworking things, and the wife okayed it. So I ordered a Onefinity. I looked and looked, and I ordered a Onefinity, an X50.
I don't know if it's the original one, but is it the Woodworker or is it?
No, it's the other one. It's the bigger one. It's a 32 by 48 bed size instead of the like 32 by 32 or something.
Yeah, but it's one of the earlier Onefinities, not the new Elite.
No, I think the new one with the Masso and the I think they do a 4x4 bed now.
Yeah,
or something like that. But this one is I didn't get the spindle. I bought a Makita router to put on there. And did I do anything else? I bought a JTech laser because I splurged for their 7-watt laser at the time, and thought, man, I can do some stuff with this. And
7 watts of pure diode power.
I was going to make custom boxes, cut cardboard, and do all kinds of stuff. And no, not with 7 watts. It just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And so as I was looking at that and I was researching and watching videos and stuff, you opened up your CNC Inner Circle. And I jumped right in.
You're one of the original members of the CNC Inner Circle back in 2021. Maybe 2022.
February or March, something.
Yeah.
I was waiting for my Onefinity to ship because the wait time, I ordered it like on December 30th or 31st. So it would fall in the previous tax year, hoping I could do some small business, alleviate some of that extra taxes I was going to have to pay. And so I was waiting until I think late April maybe was the ship date on the thing.
And for anybody that doesn't know, the CNC Inner Circle is still alive and active, and it actually is free now. It wasn't free when Zach joined. He's one of the founding members there's a group of people that really have made this thing go and exist. And so I opened it up to be free just to get more people in. So now we have over 800 members in there now. I looked this morning. It's like 820 members. And so it is the best CNC community on the internet. A lot of really good people in there. So I'll leave a link down in the description if anybody wants to join. Talk to Zach, talk to me. It's called the Inner Circle because that's where we spend our time.
And without that, I really would have been much more challenging to get to where I am today. But you finding out about the carve right, making me break it out. And so I was actually making some things. I made some dominoes and some other things, learning the software and getting help from people in the group.
On that, what was the biggest on the second rebirth of your CNC journey? What'd you find the most challenging part?
It was the software that I had access to at the time.
Okay.
Because I was trying, it was still the Carve-Right software and I was still trying to figure that out. And so Carve-Right Create 6 was out at the time. And you turned me on to that and we worked through, I'm like, how do you do this? In the early beginning, there wasn't YouTube stuff on the software. Now there's a lot of that out there. There's a lot of tutorials and stuff out there that you can find. And so I just consumed that and come up with an idea. I'm kind of an idea guy, and woodworking is an art form for me. And so I came up with the idea when my dad talked about playing cribbage, and I didn't know what it was. And he was retired from the Navy. He used to play in the Navy, and I thought I could make a cribbage board for him in the shape of an aircraft carrier.
That's right. I remember this. Yep.
And I designed it on the Carve-Right software.
Oh, you did?
I did. And I built that one for him on the Carve-Right software. And it was challenging, and I got it done. I was proud of myself. And then he started showing it to people, and somebody wanted it ordered. 2 people ordered. Some of his buddies wanted it. And so I went to go make it. Somehow the file was overwritten.
Yeah, I remember this now. Yeah, you said the file was gone.
I was devastated. And so we've been talking about Vectric being a step up even from the Carbide Create. And I pulled down the demo of Vectric, and I redesigned the whole thing in Vectric, figured out how to use that software, did the thing. And I'm supposed to be shipping these things in a week or something. And I go and I sit down in front of the CNC with the laptop, and I go to export the G code so that I could start cutting it. No, you can't export the G code on trial version. You got to pay the $400. And I'm like, what? Yeah. So,
yeah.
So all my profit from my first order for my new CNC went into paying for the software, which was a great investment. It kind of sucked, but it was a great investment.
It sucked the way that it happened, but I mean, you did end up in the right place.
Yes, absolutely. I bought the lower version, which was a 24 by 24 limit, 25 by 25 bed limit. So most of the stuff I was doing wasn't utilizing the capacity of the Infinity. But if I needed something bigger, I would switch over to Carbide Create. And combination there of the software, use them both up until this year when they came out with version 12.
Did you got Pro, V-Carve Pro?
I upgraded to Pro so that I could use the larger bed size.
Yeah, I bet that was a relief. Like, I know you made it work before that with the restrictive, like the size of things.
Yeah, You get real creative in nesting and stuff like that when you're trying to fit a bunch of stuff into that 24 by 24 space and cut it.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for people to know, like, what is CNC to you? I know we talked about this a lot, but when it comes to like the hobby versus the business, how do you see it? Obviously, you've got a full-time day job, but what is your CNC to you? Your CNC time to you?
It's a creative outlet. We talked before. I consider what I do more of a hobby hustle. Woodworking to me, I'm probably a little pickier. I'm pretty particular about the stuff that I let go out that has my name on it. And so I love to just create new stuff and carve it and design it and just you sit and you do high stress stuff all day long. You need an outlet, and woodworking and the CNC work is that for me.
That's great.
I do what I like, and hope somebody buys it. And sometimes they do. And sometimes they do.
Yeah, and I know you've done things that you haven't liked to make a few bucks here or there too.
Yeah. I do have. I've done work for clients, and that's just kind of the nature of things. You want to pay for your tools and pay for your software and stuff like that. You do the repetitive things, but it has also opened some pretty interesting stuff. I'm drop shipping now.
Talk a little bit about that, like what that looks like, and what you're doing there.
I was put in contact with a lady she's from Chile, right? Yeah. And she has a product that she sells on Etsy. And so I manufacture that. Most of her customers are in the US. So I manufacture that for her and drop ship it to her clients. And she sells them on Etsy. She has other things. It's a weaving product, and she sells patterns and books and training and stuff like that to go along with it. So she has more than just that product as her funnel, her sales funnel for her clients. Yeah, so I do that. I make those and ship those out all over the world, which was pretty interesting. It was an interesting learning experience. And I told her, I'm like, this is the drop shipping stuff that I have ever done. I've shipped stuff, but drop shipping. And so, we had some things to learn, and it's fun.
Yeah, that's you just never know the opportunities. What I tell everybody is like, man, I've actually said this a lot the past 72 hours. I've had several conversations where I've said this, but like, opportunities do not find you when you are just sitting, like, not in motion. Like when you aren't trying things. And a lot of times an opportunity will find you that, like, for example, like I sit down to make a product and I'm thinking, and, rarely do you, like, thinking's important, but rarely does the idea strike me when I'm sitting here at my desk. It's typically when I'm out creating something else, or engaging in CNC in some other way, where an opportunity, either that opportunity I was focusing on, I figure something out, or someone sees what I'm doing and it's a complete different opportunity out of left field. But the point is if I never put one foot in front of the other in some way, that opportunity would have never found me. Have you found that to be true as well?
Yes. And, you have to engage with people, and being an IT guy, you get a little, there's a stereotypical nerd in the closet kind of stuff, right. But I get well socialized. The family sees to that. And so I put my stuff out in front of people. And when people see the product that you make and the quality of the stuff that you make, the variety of things that you make, and they find pleasure in that, and they have confidence in your ability to make things, they will then ask you, well, what about this? I see you make this. What about this? Which may be a variation on that, or maybe something that takes some curves or a bowl or something, a handle in that thing that they've seen of yours, and takes it in a totally different direction in their mind, because they have a different life experience. And so once you put your stuff in front of friends and family, hey, can you make me a duck box? I've never done that, but sure, let's go for it. Or any number of things, and people will ask you to make, or hey, you make coasters, could you put owls on them? Sure, let me go find some SVG files and find something that you like. How about this? Great. And so once you get out there, that's the way that you grow, at least for me, because I'm not spending marketing money on ads. And I have a website. I have Instagram. I have Facebook. But again, being more of an artistic outlet for me, I'm not pushing on those things all the time.
Yeah.
And so, having people be familiar with the work that you do really can get you some interesting stuff.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. I'll have you speak to this. One thing that people struggle with is figuring out what they want CNC to be to them, right? Like, if you want it to be a business where the level of seriousness is like, if you don't make money with your CNC, you don't eat. That is different than what you're talking about.
Right.
And so if you take your approach, the way that you're approaching things, and have the expectation of, like, I'm going to feed my family with this approach, you are setting yourself up for failure. It's
a long entry ramp to get to something like that, unless you're extremely lucky. You strike gold with something.
Yeah, and it's possible.
It's happened, yeah.
So your approach, and we can I'll let you speak to this, but the hobby hustle, I love that. You have a full-time job. If you didn't make any money with CNC, you could still support your family. That takes some pressure off, right? And I think it's great that you have. I think it's harder like you've kept the enjoyment side of things. Like you haven't gone like, I'm grinding myself on a day job and I'm going to go home and I've got to go. And I mean, some days I'm sure like this, but like every day, like I have to go home and create this because like I have to make money or I have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's hard to be there.
yeah. So for you, yeah, like you said, it's an outlet, but it's an outlet that you like to make a little cash from to pay for tools and hobby, and it's an enjoyment thing, not a survival thing.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, and that's great because I talk a lot about business, but there's not one approach that fits everybody. It depends where you're at in life, what you can do, what you want to do, what you can afford to do. And so I think it's great to hear like your hobby hustle approach.
And that, there are business elements there. If you're buying materials and you're selling stuff, you've got to track, what did it cost? Does my time have value? And that really is a challenge, because yes, my time has value. And I was an corporate IT consultant for 25 years, and you'd had little time, 12, 14-hour days, you're exhausted, that. And so I had my own business for a decade, me and a business partner, and we did marketing and IT, specialized IT work, in design and software. And I went back to consulting, and then now I work in a 7:30 to 4:30 job, yeah. And I can mostly leave it at work. So that's a nice change, and that gives you plenty of time to be with family and to work on CNC stuff. But doing the CNC stuff gives me the opportunity to spend time with my kids too, because they'll come out to the shop, they'll do the best stuff like sanding for hours on end.
Hey, sand this for me.
Yeah, I know. And so that was brutal. That midnight before a show, when we were trying to finish product before that, we were on a call, working out of the shop. And so I'm like, we need something better. And so, yeah, then we got a thickness sander. And so it's so much better. But I can go to a market. We talk a lot in the Discord groups about selling at fairs or markets. I can go and put the stuff out that I make, and enjoy people enjoying looking at my stuff, whether they buy it or not. And they buy it, and I make some money, and I get to spend the day with one of my kids. Priceless.
Yeah, that's great.
Whether you make $1,000 or you make $200.
Value is perceived, and everybody finds value in different things. So, you're not out there running a charity giving things away, but if you don't sell a thing, you had, like you said, you had that time with your family, which is extremely valuable to you.
And I think you touched a little bit on pricing earlier. As a business, some of the business pieces of it is my time have value. Well, yes, in my mind, my time has the value of what take my salary and break it down into an hourly wage. That's my time value, because if I'm not making that much money in my time, I can't replace this with that. Should I want to be able to support my family with that, I have to be able to have that time value in there. If I was retired and those are the guys at the markets that you can't compete with, because their time doesn't have a monetary component to them anymore.
Yep. Yep. Or at least a limited monetary component. Yep.
Yes. And so, pricing some of my stuff, I look at my materials and stuff, and I originally was like time and a half, or 1.5 times what goes in, to price an item. And sometimes it's 3. Sometimes you just 3 keystones, and sometimes it takes me this amount of time to make this product, and my time value is this, and a time value for the CNC and the materials, and you just kind of work it all together to come up with a price point. And then some days you're at the market and you're like, I just want to sell this stuff because I'm tired of looking at it. So
yeah,
how about $20? Yeah, go over there and change the prices on those at $20. Let's just sell some stuff today because I don't want to take it home with me.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize too, like there's no right or wrong way, because that's business in general. Like a retired guy sitting at a craft fair, his reward for people get frustrated. It's like people that are trying to make money, like make a living, they get frustrated with the retired guy. Like, he's undercutting me. Well, no, he just worked his whole life and he is having fun, and so it's not his fault that he can let those things go for cheaper. And my recommendation anytime I hear that is make something different than him.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're not competing.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, or a little bit to the viewer, with someone that doesn't have a CNC, but someone like you in your life position that has kids, has maybe not 10 kids, or not 11 kids. But someone that has kids, someone that has a full-time day job, and they're looking to do exactly what you are doing. What's your recommendation to their first step? They don't have a CNC. What would you recommend?
I would recommend finding an amount of money that you are willing or can spend, and then spend that amount of money. Don't look at a $10,000 4x8 CNC with spindle if that's not in your price range. If you only have $1,000 to spend, $1,200, you probably can you get in. We come down to about there now.
Yeah, a smaller footprint.
Yeah, and so if that's what you have to spend it. Don't spend an extra $200. Don't spend $200 less, because you'll regret not having spent the money, and then you'll regret having spent too much money. But find out what your price point is and what you can afford. Buy that, and then get familiar with the machine. Get familiar with software. Get familiar with bits and what you have to have there. Bits. 2 is 1, 1 is none. When you're buying bits, and they seem expensive in the beginning, but yeah, buy 2. And so then start making stuff. Give it away. Find somebody that'll give you some money for it, and then start selling something that people will buy to pay for your next machine. And if you are enjoying what you're doing, upgrade, pass that machine down to someone else, and continue on. I think that's a very responsible approach.
I know we talked about CNC Inner Circle, which we can talk about that again, but are there any resources out there that helped you, that pushed you over the edge to get you started?
YouTube. It sounds cliche. You can find everything there within reason, but there are tons and tons of resources. I've seen channels that have put out a 3 for part 1, part 2, part 3, how to do this, what, with the thing, and I watched it all the way through and consumed it and learned stuff, and then I forgot what I was watching, and I probably haven't seen any of their other videos, but those were great.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. And so there are innumerable YouTube channels out there that have feeds and speeds. What's a kerf if you're doing CNC laser work? How does a bit work when it cuts in the CNC machine? Do I need a spindle? How do you round the corners of an object in Vectric? Or how do you set up a plunge cut? There's just so much out there.
When I first started in 2017, there was hardly nothing. There was some stuff, but very, very little about dedicated CNC stuff. Fast forward 7 years, and that is not the case. There is so much information out there. It's just, honestly, it's kind of overwhelming. But finding somebody that you trust, I think that's important. I would say, you found me when I first started. Or when you first started, I was putting out content about CNC content and came up with the community, and that community has been very good for a lot of people. So yeah, there's a ton of resources out there.
If you're not part of Andy's Discord group, Inner Circle, join. There's no cost to it now, and it was very, very much worth it in the beginning. We chat all the time. We've broken bits, and what the heck did we just do? And I did the same thing. Why is my bit black? Why is it smoking? Okay, let's just get on a call. And we would get on a video chat, different people who were having the same issue, and we just worked through it and figure out, oh, well, this bit doesn't behave in the software like you would expect.
Yep.
But when Vectric says it behaves like this, it makes sense. But it still doesn't make sense because you don't think it should work that way, but they insist it does, and for a very specific purpose it does. And sharing our support information, going back and forth with companies, tool manufacturers, software manufacturers, support. Hey, I'm having a rough day, my stuff just isn't working.
Yep.
Hey, have you tried this? It's great. Find a group that you can work with, people like-minded, and who have similar goals to you, and interact, because you're not alone. And if you're working on CNC stuff, or you're thinking about CNC, we've got so many people in there that don't even have a CNC yet, and they're trying to see what it's all about. Is this something I want to get into? And that's okay too.
Yeah. People may be wondering, someone that don't have a CNC, is it possible we didn't preface this question, I'm putting you on the spot, but in your mind, is it possible to buy a CNC machine and pay for it within a year? Like, meaning make things and sell things, and sell those and make enough money to recoup your investment within 1 year?
Oh, absolutely. And again, it goes back to what are you spending will dictate the kind of product that you need to make and sell. If you are buying a $5,000 CNC, you have to make a lot of $20, $25 catch-all trays.
Yeah, you
in
do.
order to pay for that in a year.
You do.
Yep. That's a lot.
Yep.
For 20.
I got a calculator right here. 5,000 divided by 20. That's 200.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 200 trays.
Well, maybe you can.
Maybe you can. But the thing is like, okay, let's assume that's 150 sales, right? Some people buy two.
Sure.
How am I going to make 150 sales? How am I going to find 150 people? Then you start thinking, where is that, right? And if you have zero sales experience, you're like, how in the heck am I going to make 150 sales? But I will say that it's definitely possible. Not saying this is just an example. We're not saying go make catch-all trays. But for example, let's go back to your example on the aircraft carrier cribbage board. What did you sell that for to, not to your dad? You made it for your dad, right?
I did. And then, he loved it. So he just started showing it to all his Navy buddies.
Yeah. And what did you sell the other ones for?
$220 shipped.
Okay. So $220. Let's just take $200, minus shipping and everything. So $5,000 CNC. Now you're at 25. You only need to sell 25 those cribbage boards in a year to, of course, you have material cost, and we know all that. But you get the point of like, okay, now I need to make 25 sales. That doesn't seem too daunting.
No, it doesn't. And if you pursue the sales, very easily doable.
Yeah.
Again, I am not very aggressive, with sales stuff. In general, I'm not online. I had Etsy. I have an Etsy store. There's nothing up there at the moment. I tried to sell something once. It was a PVC bird feeder. No, house made out of PVC pipe for a bird, and I thought it was so clever. But nobody wanted to buy it on Etsy, or they didn't find my stuff. And I just put up one listing. And so you can do stuff on there, but I'm just, I'll put it up there. And if somebody buys it, awesome. But I'm not hurt if they don't. However, if I'm in a market and I'm in person and I am not, and I've seen Perky today, but I am not super social.
That's why you bring your daughters.
Exactly. Pretty faces, and they attract attention. And then I sit on a shop stool, at the corner of the booth in the front, and every person that comes by, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it doing? Hey, hi, good afternoon, good morning. The best thing is like when it switches over from noon or from morning to afternoon, and then be like, good morning. Oh, wait, afternoon. And that just disrupts people. And, you get their attention. They'll look at your stuff 6 out of 10 times. They'll venture into your booth. And if they hadn't even noticed your booth at all before.
Yeah.
So, not really in your face, but communicate with people. Don't sit in a lawn chair at the back of your booth on your phone, looking down, and expect people to come in and buy your 200 catch-all trays to pay for your CNC. Because that won't work out.
That doesn't happen?
It's not where I live anyway. It doesn't happen.
That's great. One thing I think this is a good opportunity too. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I think it's a good opportunity to share the CNC Side Hustle, the course that I have, because it basically takes someone from, or it doesn't basically, it does take someone from, how do I buy a CNC machine? What do I need? What are the considerations? What are my budget? What else do I need other than a CNC machine? And all the way to selling strategies, marketing strategies to make it into a side hustle. And so if anybody's interested in that, there'll be a link down in the description. I typically don't pitch it directly, just because that's not necessarily what the YouTube channel is for, but this is a great opportunity. If anybody's looking to like fast track, and they find themselves overwhelmed by all of the things that we're talking about, I laid those things out step by step for that exact person. So, cool. So where can people, not that you want attention or want sales, but where can people find you if they wanted to ask you a question or connect with you?
Instagram. I have Instagram. That's a good spot for that. Instagram is Lumberzack Shop.
Okay.
And I'm on Facebook. Lumberzack Shop on Facebook, I believe.
Okay. And then in the community too, they can find you inside the Inner Circle community.
Yes, and so I'm Lumberzack in the circle there. there's an old stale YouTube channel, but you probably won't catch me much there. Haven't had time for that in a while. But, and lumberzack.com if you want to find my website.
Cool. So if there's any other drop shippers out there that are watching this, Zach is your man.
Got it all worked out now.
Yep. He's learned the process. So you better be careful what you wish for, because
I know. May have to quit this job and retire early.
Well, cool. Any last advice you would give anybody watching, or anything you'd like to share?
Get in it, do it, find something that you enjoy. If it's not CNC, we talked about CNC woodworking, but in the Discord group, in the Inner Circle group, we also talk about CNC laser. See Andy's laser behind him. So we do a lot of that stuff as well. It's very similar, just less sawdust.
It is.
Find something that you enjoy, jump into it, and enjoy the journey of it.
Cool.
The power of community and relationships is massive. It has been vital to my success. It has been vital to Zach's success. So if you want to be a part of a community like that, where you can meet like-minded individuals, I'll have a link down in the description for you to join our CNC community. It's completely free, and we'd love to have you. If you want to see another inspiring CNC side hustle story, click right here and watch Paul and B. Paul and B from B's Boards have a very inspiring journey, longtime members of my CNC community, and click right there, check that video out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.